What soothes you? What relaxes you? What comforts you? What brings you joy? What makes you laugh? What nourishes you? What brings you pleasure? Yeah. It might be worth writing those questions down and looking, just kind of answering them every day and seeing if you can allow that to come through. Now, some of those questions you might not have an answer for. I know for some people it can be really hard to feel any kind of pleasure or joy, but for others they can. And so you just start where you're at and not make yourself wrong if you can't answer them. That's okay. But if there is one you can answer, or you can come up with a question that works for you. This is really, really wonderful way of kind of enhancing how to feel good or how to soothe yourself and how to allow that into your body and kind of build the capacity to feel okay or to feel good or to feel really good, depending on where you're at. And actually what happens is when we practice this, we can kind of build it up too. And it's also a really good way to often bring us back to the present. And in the present, there's nothing happening. You know, it's safe. It's like the safe place. Here we are. Like here I am sitting on this bed, in this room, talking to my phone, and there's nothing happening other than that. There's a bird tweeting outside, and I can see a tree. But we can really get caught up in images and words about the future or about the past, and they can be all consuming and can really frighten us or bring up all kinds of emotions. So these questions can be really, really powerful. So for instance, like, you know, for me, it can be a really simple thing. Like in the early days when I had really, really severe anxiety, it would be like, okay, can I get out of the house? Can I just open the door and see if I can step out and then I'll go back in again? Like I wouldn't set a big thing up, just something gentle. And I would sort of step out the door and be like, oh wow, fresh air. And to some people that may sound really crazy, but for me that was one experience of something that comforted me and soothed me. And you know, and then it's like, can I pause and allow that in my body? What does that feel like if I allow that? Oh wow, yeah, fresh air. And for instance, today I was walking down the street and I suddenly smelled this incredible smell of a flower. I think it was a clematis out, and the smell was divine. And I stopped, paused, and allowed myself to really feel that in my body. So that's the other part. Can you then, when you have the thing that comforts you or soothes you or makes you feel good or pleasures you, can you allow yourself to really feel that in your body? Kind of slowing it down and like, okay, what does that actually feel like to be with that? The other thing that soothes me is colour, hence my nails, my red, pink pillows. Yeah, and it'll be different for every single person. So these are just examples. Like what can nourish me is, you know, going really slowly, maybe other thing I like to do is just actually just bring my awareness back to my body. For some people that's too much, so ignore that if it doesn't work for you. But coming down, like even doing a body scan, like going through my toes, my feet, my legs, going all the way up to my body, going really, really slowly, just feeling into what my toes feel like and my feet, and noticing the tension and bringing my awareness to that tension without trying to change it, just really gently being with it. And I find as I do that can actually be really, really soothing. I usually find that I get these big breaths and I start to come into my body more. I feel more soothed, relax more. What's also really soothing is to connect with a really good friend, or if that's not possible, just seeing a stranger and having smiling at each other, or connecting with someone, maybe someone you don't know but you're able to connect, whether it's an online video or something, and you notice, oh, this feels good, and then again, can you sort of slow that down and just allow yourself to feel that feeling that it feels good. Yeah. The other thing that soothes me is dancing and listening to music. Now, I know for some people that's not possible, so again, ignore that if that doesn't work for you. But I adore music. Music just sends me to another place, and also kind of brings me very present. Strange dichotomy there, but yeah, and it's very easy for me when I get very in my head to become sort of frozen in my body and not realise. So when I use sound and listen to music, it helps me kind of start bringing the movement back into my body. And for years I just didn't get how important that is, but it's so important if you are able to allow movement back in, especially when we're really, really stressed and we can go into that sort of freeze response, or we feel really flighty, but we're not actually moving. Bringing the movement in can kind of like really, really help that flight response, kind of giving it permission to be in that place, but we're also like allowing that energy to move through us, and it can actually become really soothing. Also helps our emotions. We're able to feel our emotions better. It seems to kind of the act of the physical movement dampens down the emotional state, so it's easier to feel particular emotions. Also, again, it brings me very present, like I was saying, and it could be a walk. For me, like it'd be a walk around where I live, like maybe around the trees or into the park, and just noticing what's around me. Like literally, can I just stop and notice what's here, what I'm smelling, what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing. So we're using all of the senses. That's really, really powerful way of bringing you to the moment, and again just bringing that kind of soothing, like, and the nourishment that comes with that. I'm talking of nourishment, it could be food, that you're eating something and you really stop and kind of allow yourself to savor what you're eating and really taste it and enjoy that, or a really lovely drink that you've made for yourself that feels like a kind of comforting thing for you and soothing. I don't know, like it could be a nice chai tea or something, or a herbal concoction, or a coffee, whatever it is, whatever your choice of beverage is, like it's just really, what's it like to really slow down and savor that, and how does that feel in my body? Yeah, so it's like you're finding these mini moments, these glimmers of something that might make you feel good or better or present or really good, and kind of like collecting them, And you could even then, which also it helps you sort of build on that, is you then can also write that down, like, maybe at the end of the day or something, write down all those mini moments that felt. I do this where I write down moments that felt good to me in the day. So, for instance, I'd say those flowers that I smell. I got myself some daffodils and put them around the house. I love flowers. The colours that I'm wearing. Just there was a tiny bit of sunshine. Seeing the sky. I mean, actually, it just goes on and on when I allow myself to do this, but it's very easy to go the other way and just notice bad, 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 or scary, 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 scary. So these are ways to build on what's here, 2, what helps soothe us, 3, what helps us come to the present, and helps us just get through this time. So and if you like, you might want to write down what soothes you, what helps you, what comforts you, what gives you pleasure. It can be creative things too. I didn't think of that. It can be, that you might have some really lovely like pens, colourful pens, and you just allow yourself to draw. And if you can't draw, give yourself permission to not like be perfect, not be a good drawer, but you just want to put colour on paper because it feels good. How would that be? Like, oh yeah, permission to just be however I am and just get the colour on the paper. Or that maybe you play an instrument and you haven't played it for a while, and then pick that back up and see what it's like to play. Or maybe you love reading books, and in that moment when it feels good, or it feels okay, or it feels amazing, can you stop and pause and allow yourself to again feel into that? Or for someone else it might be something like gardening that you really like, being out in the garden, and again, just what is it that notice what it is that you enjoy, or that moment that feels